Welcome to Power Lunch Live. I'm Rhett Power, your host. It's good to be with you here today. Back from the holidays. I had a couple shows last week. It's our second week back into the program, so it is good to be back and on the air and bringing you some great programming. We're gonna have a great conversation today about how my guest went from a window cleaner to a millionaire. We're going to dive deep into that because I think that is fascinating. Now, the point of Power Lunch Live is to have today's thought leaders, best-selling authors, people who are doing amazing work in the world that we can all learn from as leaders. So that's why we do it. Now, the fun part about the show is that it can be interactive. Now, the way that happens is if you get on that keyboard of yours and you type in a message to me, and we can talk to our guest about your question. We are on LinkedIn Live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, probably something, I think Twitch, something else, all at the same time. So we do monitor those feeds, so please do interact with us. And if you like the program, give it a like or share, because your network should benefit from these conversations, and we don't mind the likes either. So today I've got Zack Boothe on the program. A few years ago, he was a window cleaner, and you can still find his window cleaning tutorial videos on YouTube with millions of views. Taking a leap of faith, he walked away from that business and got into real estate investing, and is now making millions of dollars in real estate. And so we want to talk about that today and talk about his secrets, how he's doing that, what his sort of, what drives him, how he's doing. And I know he's in Tampa doing a 40-day challenge right now. He was just telling me about taking $1,000, and now they've got a couple of houses under contract. So we got to figure all that out. We got to talk about that. So Zack, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So it doesn't seem like COVID has slowed you down at all.
No, nor the elections or none of that. I know today is a crazy day, but I've got seller's appointments and house inspections, and I've got my blinders on and going to work.
There's something I really love about that, because I've had a few businesses myself, and people used to ask me, well, what do you think about, particularly when I was running a big manufacturing company and things, and what do you think about this election or that, or this problem or that political thing or that? And I'm like, man, it is what it is. I've got a mission, and I've got things I've got to do, and I tune that stuff out, because it's just a distraction. I mean, at the end of the day, that shouldn't stop you from doing what you're going to do and how you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would say, oh, that's irresponsible. We have an obligation to watch the news and know what's going on, and to be, to be super focused on politics when it's time to be focused on it. But Stephen Covey teaches it better than I think anybody. And he says there's a circle of influence and a circle of concern. Our circle of concern is, are we at war with China? Who's going to be the next president? Do we really have the ability to affect that right now? No. Right? That's our circle of concern. We're worried about it. Sure, be worried about it. But if we spend our time and our energy on what we can't influence, our influence actually shrinks. But when we spend time on what we can influence, like how much money we have in our bank account, and how's our business doing? Are we recruiting the right people, right? Are we making the impact we want to make, right? That circle shrinks. It'll either grow or shrink depending on where your focus is. So.
Yeah, I think that's just such smart advice. It doesn't mean you don't get involved. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't. But right, you got to laser focus in on what the mission is, what's critical. So I think I'm glad to hear you say that, because I haven't had enough conversations lately with business leaders who've said that. They're all worried about this and that, and
I'm sure I'll get beat up for what I said there.
Well, again, it doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you don't pay attention, right? It doesn't mean you don't have an opinion. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that that is what it is, and you can try to make the world a better place, but at the same time, you got a business and you got to focus on that because you have people that depend on you there, right?
Yeah, and I'm day 7 of a 40-day challenge that's scaring the shit out of me. It's a huge deal.
So what is the what made you sort of take that leap from, you say window washing and stuff, but what made you take that leap and get involved in real estate? How'd you do that? How'd you make that jump?
Yeah, so back in about 2012, I bought a duplex and I was running a window cleaning business. From the outside looking in, it looked like I was semi-successful. I had 13 employees and 3 trucks, and I started that business when I was 17 years old, and I'd always been an entrepreneur. But after a decade of doing that, I was burnt out, and I wanted to get into real estate. That duplex was amazing. I was living in one half and renting the other. My mortgage was like $450 because I got a great deal after all the foreclosures, right after 2008. And I was renting the one side out for like $800. It's like, man, I need more of these. This is easy money compared to washing windows. And then I kept hitting all these obstacles. Well, how do I get down payments, right? I don't have a lot of cash. How do I get the cash? How do I find get my debt to income? Then I was also like, well, now that I'm starting to have a little more success, then I started finding issues with finding deals. And right now in our current market, it's really hard to find off-market discounted properties, right? Or properties that make sense with cash flow, unless you go to like war zones in the Midwest. And so I just had all these obstacles, and I learned about, that you may, people listening to this, you may have heard of people saying you can get into real estate with zero money, buy houses with no money down, like those kinds of things. And so I started learning about what they meant by that. And I spent $10,000 on a coach, never did a deal. That was extremely painful, but I learned a lot of things. And I kind of had given up for a few years after that happened. And I kind of became a doubter and a skeptic of those gurus, right? Of the concept of real estate wholesaling. And but then I had something happen. I was washing windows for a wealthy gentleman. He was a real estate developer. And at the end of the conversation of hearing his life story, I told him I wanted to buy 2 rentals. And he basically just handed me 2 $250,000 houses for like a couple $1,000s down. So $500,000. He was the bank, just basically deeded them. He just gave them to me. I had well over like $130,000, $150,000 in equity in those deals. And when he did that, I was like, wow. And the reason he did that is because he liked me, first of all, because I built a relationship with him. I listened to his story, but he didn't want to deal with him. He had multi-million-dollar development projects. The property manager bailed on him 4 years before, or 4 months before. He hadn't collected rents. They had deferred maintenance. He didn't want to deal with it. He didn't need the money, didn't want the money. And so he just walked away and gave them to me. And it was a great deal for me, of course. I was like, wow, like this does exist. You can find deals like this. They're probably everywhere. I just don't know how to find them or where to look. And that's when my journey really started. I got another mentor, paid $9,000. And most of the stuff's going on credit cards, by the way, right? I didn't have lumps of cash.
No, that deal, yeah.
Yeah, and my sweet wife supported me, believed in me. I don't know why. I'm just this goober, right? And I was so grateful for her to do that. Like we have such a good life now because of her belief in me and I not wanting her to let her down. But we started having crazy success. That was the beginning of 2017 when I hired that next coach. I did my first traditional wholesale deal April of 2017. And what that means is I put a house under contract and I sold the contract to an investor. The contract's assignable. So I got paid $10,000 for finding a house and putting it under contract. That's all I did. I didn't do any of the renovations. I didn't get debt. I made $10,000. By the end of that year, that was April 2017. By the end of that, I did $500,000. I did just over $100,000 that year. The next year I did just under $500,000. The year after that, I did $1.2 million. And this is assigning purchase contracts. And then I started picking up rentals and stuff after that. So it was incredible, but it was 100% off of being able to find off-market discounted properties and meeting people that want speed and convenience over price. Essentially, I'm a pawn shop for houses is the best way to explain it.
Okay. What? So get into the wholesale part of that again, because I think that's interesting. So you're finding a deal, you're finding a house that maybe does it need work? Does it need to be renovated, or is it move-in ready?
Yeah. So I'm looking for people that don't want to deal with the property. So there's wealthy people, poor people, people that are behind on their mortgage, people that aren't, but people that are emotionally detached. They don't want to deal with it. A lot of times it's tired landlords, people that inherit properties, people that want fast cash offers. They want to move their money into something else immediately. They might have a business opportunity, right?
They're going through a personal thing. There are all kinds of reasons. Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't really, like the type of house. Yes, most of the houses are a little run down, right? Because if they're really, really nice, most of the time they'll be like, oh, I'll list it with an agent and they'll sell it, especially in this market. So yes, this time, in this market, there's a lot more rundown houses, but they're just flip opportunities for flippers, right? But I don't want to do the construction. I don't want to do the flip. So what I'll do is I'll find those people. I do the marketing and find those people. We'll sign a purchase contract. And then for the most part, I don't do always, right? But depending on the situation, but I can just sell that purchase contract to another investor with enough meat on the bone that it makes sense for him and I get paid. My biggest assignment fee is $85,000 selling a piece of paper. And the biggest deal I've ever coached was $114,500. That's just selling a piece of paper.
That's selling you got a deal. You sell it to an investor who's going to probably flip it. They're going to probably come in.
You make that money in a matter of a week, 2 weeks from the time you meet the seller.
So it sounds like to me, this sounds like you've got a relationship. This is a relationship business in a lot of ways, right?
Sure.
You know how to find the distressed properties or the people who are ready to get out, but you probably have a cadre of people that you market it to who buy that kind of property.
Yeah, the nice thing, birds of a feather flock together, so it's really easy to find all your cash buyers, right? Mm-hmm. I made 3 or 4 phone calls, and I had 2,000 to 3,000 investors here in Tampa for this challenge.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I had emails for 2,000 to 3,000 people on seriously 3 phone calls.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so yes, you get your buyers first, then you do your marketing, and then you once you have it under contract, you market that purchase contract to your buyers. It's called real estate wholesaling. Mm-hmm. So, I'm in Florida right now, proving my point. That's why I'm doing podcasts and these shows is I want to show people what's possible. And I'm sure many people want to know why. And we can talk about that if you want to, but I've took on the challenge of taking $1,000 and turning it into 40 grand in 40 days from scratch in a new market. I'm on day 7 right now, and I have 3 houses under contract, and I should have a couple more. And I really think, well, I won't spoil it, but I've already made a lot of money, right? I've made a lot of money.
So what's the danger in this? So, let's say somebody's listening to this and saying, I invest in real estate. I might need to take some of your advice, but because I'm not spending way more than $1,000. But my sense is if somebody's listening to this and they're saying, well, that sounds interesting, but I don't really get it. They're not going to get, maybe I have bad credit. Maybe I have, maybe I don't have a lot of money in the bank. Maybe I probably can't do this because he's got a lot of money in the bank. What's your answer to that?
That's why I'm doing this challenge. Right? Because I had so many people be like, yeah, well, Zack knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for years. It's like, but I was a window washer. And I had a blessing. You can call it from God. You can call it, worked out. You can call it luck. I don't care what you guys call it. I think it was God. Right? But I met Stan. He was the one that gave me those 2 properties. And it opened my eyes that even very intelligent, intellectual, financially capable people want speed and convenience. Right? And I knew that I had to get good at finding those people. And so I had this belief that it could be done over and over and over. I got this gift and I want to pass that gift on. So I'm here with the film crew and I'm going to share all this content for free on YouTube because I want you to see how you can actually find these people and how you can make massive amounts of money with very little effort. So for the last 6 days, I've spent a couple hours a day on the phone cold calling and a couple hours a day driving around looking for ugly houses. That's all I've had to do, because I'm still running a $1 million wholesaling operation, and I have multiple students all across the country that I'm teaching this stuff to. So I still have my responsibilities, and I have 2 young children. I've pawned them off to the mother-in-laws. They're seeing their family for the first few weeks, but they're going to be back here shortly. So, I just wanted people to have the gift of seeing it done, and so they have an understanding what really is possible.
So when you say you're taking $1,000, let's make this as clear and clean as so it's clear to everybody. Take $1,000. So you're going out, you're looking, you're knocking on doors, you're finding people. What is your are you literally like going out and knocking on doors?
Yeah, I've knocked on a whole bunch of doors, but I'm cold calling. So let me explain. There's technologies that help us. That's the beautiful age that we're in. Investors 5-10 years ago do not have the technologies we have today. So I have the ability to drive around neighborhoods with my phone on a Google Maps image and just touch the house that I want to market to on the phone. Just like this, that fast, right? I'm adding properties to a list. It's automatically uploading all the data I need to reach out to them. Phone numbers, addresses, mailing addresses, who owns it, all of that information. Then I go home and I sit down on my computer with a platform that I can call 3 people at one time. So it's just calling 3 people at one time. And if someone picks up, I'm like, hey, and then it pops up all the information on the property and the people. And I talk to them about the house. And if someone else answers as it's dialing through, the voice recordings, hello, I'm gonna have to call you back. And then when I hang up on my conversation, it immediately calls that person back. And they pick up the phone and I have that conversation. And so in a matter of I'm doing 2-3 hours a day, and I'm getting a lead. I'm getting an appointment to go talk to a motivated seller every day right now.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm showing exactly how this is done on the YouTube channel. And
is that commercially available to everybody, that technology?
Yeah, it's going to be on a free YouTube page.
Okay. No, but is that technology, like the dialing, all that's available?
100%. I'm using, if you guys want to know the technologies, I'm using Deal Machine to add properties. It's an app on the App Store, Deal Machine. And use my discount code PIN to get the best price. Is route tracking. I don't want to explain it all, but yes, use that discount code. It's essential. And then also I'm using Mojo Dialer for the triple line dialer. I'm using batchskiptracing.com to get phone numbers. That costs like 15 cents a phone number or something like that. If you use the discount code DFD, stands for driving for dollars. So DFD for batch skip tracing. And that's how I'm reaching out to these people.
Okay. And what was you said the first program you were using? I'm going to send this. I'm writing this down.
Yep. Deal Machine, discount code. Okay. Yep. Discount code PIN, and then mojosales.com is the cold calling platform. Batch skip tracing is the system for pulling phone numbers. Discount code DFD, dog Frank dog driving for dollars, DFD.
Okay, that's cool. So why are you giving it away?
Great question, right? Like, why would some idiot go and work his ass off and give this much value for absolutely free? So let's back up my story to the year I did $500,000. So I had to pinch myself. I was a window washer. That was more money than I ever dreamt of. I grew up mowing lawns with my family. We didn't have money. I didn't come from money. And I felt immensely grateful, right? I don't like religions, but I believe that there's a higher power, and I believe there's a purpose to this life. I don't know what it is exactly. And, I felt very grateful, but I also felt obligated to hit my highest potential, because who knows where it'll take me and who I can help along the way. And so when I hit that $500,000, it was wonderful. I was able to pay off all my debts. Went to Alaska, took my wife to Hawaii for 2 weeks. We went to Brazil and visited my wife's family for a month. Like, I got to enjoy some of that money. Yes.
You know, I'm calling you from Brazil. This is where I'm in Brazil now.
Oh, you are? What part of Brazil?
I'm in Brasilia, but
Brasilia. I speak fluent Portuguese. I served a mission down there too.
Oh, fantastic. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, cool. So anyways, that's crazy. You're in Brasilia. How random is that? I love it. So we did that $500,000, and I wanted to hit $1 million that next year, but I had no idea how. And I wanted to get there, but I really didn't know how, because I was kind of shocked I did $500,000. It's like I felt like I hadn't tapped my potential, because I didn't know anybody that was doing that kind of money, not within my circle. And I read this self-help journal called Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. And it's a journal that you keep for a year, but the first 100 pages. Okay, yeah. So the first 100 pages, it talks about 3 big goals. And it also talks about the importance of giving away whatever it is you want to receive. So when I wrote down one of those goals is to generate $1 million, I didn't know idea how, but I knew I had to give it away. And I believe we reap what we sow, we give what we get, or we get what we give, like, the golden rule. And I was like, okay, Karen, my wife, is like, sweetie, how do we give away $1 million? We don't have it yet, like, how do we give it away before we even have it? And we took it seriously. And I was like, you know what? I could teach what I've learned. I could teach the marketing system. I could teach people what I'm doing. So I brought on 10 guinea pigs. I made them pay me. So I knew that they would be invested and they would, hold themselves accountable in me. And I started teaching them. One of my first students, one of his first deals, Scott Dallinger, you can see his success story on the YouTube channel, $113,000 deal, right? He held the record for a while. And, my students started absolutely crushing it. One student, his first 6 months, made like 300 grand. And it was so fulfilling. And by the end of that year, I did $1.2 million, because the more I taught, the more I learned, the better I got at it, right? The more questions I got, the more deals I was helping people negotiate, because I didn't, I became the real estate expert. I had to. I mean, I was looking over tens of hundreds of deals, I mean, I've looked at over thousands of deals at this point, all across the country. I got to learn all of the markets. Right. It was the coolest thing that ever happened. And the more people I taught, the more people wanted to learn, and the more students that I got. And then it became a whole coaching business, like overnight, because people were getting results. And if people get results, do they want you to coach? Yeah. It's like, and I just am so grateful. I feel overwhelmed with appreciation. And I started noticing, like, there's a lot of skeptics. And a lot of people would say, you can't lead a horse to water and force it to drink. You can only lead it, right? Mm-hmm. And I say BS. If you love that horse, you cup your hands and bring it to the horse. And my mentor taught me that. And so I was thinking, like, how do I help those skeptics? Like, how do I help those people become believers? And I thought about myself. When was I a skeptic? And what changed me from being a skeptic to a believer in the process, and how possible it is? And it's when I met Stan, when I got those 2 properties seller finance. It's when I actually saw it happen. And I was like, hey, why don't I just show people that it can happen? Like, why don't I let people get an inside look of exactly what it takes? And so then I stayed up super late, and I was like, oh, this is the greatest idea ever. And this was 2 years ago when I made this plan. And I was supposed to do it last January. COVID hit. I didn't know what the health effects were for my family, so I didn't go. But I'm here now. And the reason I want to make 40 grand is that's the annual yearly salary of an average American.
Yep.
I wanted to show people I could do it in 40 days. But I also wanted to show you that I could take $1,000 is all. That's all I'm going to spend on marketing and turn it into 40 grand. If I need more than that, I'm going to pick up side hustles. I'm going to clean toilets. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen, just to show people what it takes. And some people may have zero interest in making more money. Some people, my goal is not to show people that that's what you should want, but my goal is to help skeptics that have a desire to be financially free and financially successful, to show them a path, a true path that can get you there quickly, right? Not easily, but in the time frame quickly.
So I got a question from Tasha. And Tasha asked, I'm working full time. Sometimes I have to work even 2 jobs. How did you keep your window washing business? Did you do this while you were running your other company? and what do you recommend? How do I manage all of this? If I wanted to get started?
Yeah, great question. So I did burn the boats and go full-time real estate investor because I'm an idiot. I had like 2 months before I couldn't pay my mortgage payment, and my wife would probably leave me, right? But I'm kind of a crazy person. So I would say don't do that. If I coach people, I require you spend 15 hours a week on this, right? So I'm only spending, I'm only able to, well, the thing is most people are like, well, if I work 9 to 5 on a job and then I'm 5 to 11 o'clock at night with my family, I don't have any time. So you have from 5 to 11 o'clock at night, and then you have Saturdays and you have Sundays. Like, well, I don't work on Sunday because I don't think God wants me to. And it's like, I don't mean to beat up on your religion or your beliefs. I'm a spiritual person myself, but it's a short-term sacrifice for long-term wins, right? Like I believe, like I had someone close.
Yeah, the average American watches 30 hours of TV a week or something. Yeah. 20 hours of TV a week. Cut out your TV.
Yeah, I really believe anyone can find 15 hours. So my answer to that question is 15 hours a week. And I could rant and go crazy how lazy people are for the most part and finding excuses by saying lack of time. But yeah, 15 hours a week, 100% you can get started in this business. But the thing is, if an average deal is 20 grand. So let me ask you, like you spend month, 2 months, 3 months. My average student does their deal within the first 3 months. So let's say you spend 15 hours a week, you spend $1,000 on marketing, maybe 2,000 or $1,500 on marketing in 3 months, and you do your first deal. An average wholesale fee across the country is 20 grand, right? So what would 20 grand do to your life? Right? Like, could you like back off your second, that's a lot of money. And then what if you did that consistently month after month and then week after week? So last week I signed 3 contracts, right? Doing this challenge, but my team signed 4 contracts. My average assignment fee is much higher than 20. I made like $250,000 off those contracts in a week, right? Like there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, a ton. The other question, from Steve is, I live in a rural area. Is this something you can do in a rural area?
Sure. Right. So I say, as far as population size, if you really want to build up an operation, a minimum of about 75,000 people within your city is what I suggest. But let's say you live out in the boonies, right? Let's say middle of nowhere, Wyoming, Casper. Now Casper's actually pretty big. Let's say somewhere, right? Somewhere in Wyoming, middle of nowhere. And you want to get into this. You want to get into real estate. Well, I have students that live in New York and are doing deals in Indianapolis, and I have students in California doing deals in Texas. I've got a student in Canada doing deals in Minneapolis, right? I have students all over doing deals elsewhere, right? I'm in location here in Tampa, but I could do the same thing from my office in Utah, right? There's a little bit more expense because you might need to hire some people to help you with a few things and taking pictures of the house and maybe driving around for you. But yeah, you can do it. They call it virtual wholesaling, but 100% you do not have to live where you're doing deals.
Okay. And the other question, that's more of a comment. This question is, how you're talking about your students. Can you clarify the cost again? I think you go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't take everyone as a student, right? And I believe in making an impact. Like, I would make so much more money if I just focused on real estate, right? Like, coaching is a distraction. I want you guys to understand that, and I recognize it. But I get so much fulfillment. I consider it my purpose. And if I coach someone, I only want to coach people if I feel like I can help them become successful, right? And so I have a process to become a student, and it's by application only. So I have some requirements. One of them is you have to be able to spend $500 a month in marketing. You have to spend 15 hours a week on this. and a handful of others, right? I don't want to get too far into the rabbit hole. But the way that you can apply to become a student is you have to go to my website, dfdmastery.com, and apply. There's an application process. I don't remember if it says application or book a call. It's one of the two. You click on that button and you'll have to fill out a questionnaire, right? Don't like actually fill it out, because we do read those. Some people don't even get a call. Then you have to book the call. You have to book a time. They fill up pretty fast after I do calls like this. But if there's not a time available, we'll get back to you, just because they fill up fast, right? I only got a limited amount of people that can service these calls. And then I actually do take some of those calls. Right now I'm not. I've got onboarding coaches that help me and support on those calls. And so that's the process if you want to apply for the program.
So when you say, is that $500 a month in marketing for your students?
Yes, this is what I require them to spend. Yes, but ultimately, my goal.
What do you mark? Yeah, what to talk about?
Yeah,
that?
so like buying phone numbers, cold calling, texting, postcards, reaching out to those lists we're creating.
Gotcha. So it's more of an expense of what it's going to cost you to have these systems in place.
Yep.
Okay. And kind of back up a little bit and talk about, a lot of people fall prey, I think, sometimes to all the get into real estate kind of gimmicks and the programs and all the stuff that's out there. Yeah. We've all seen those. You talked about hiring a coach that didn't really work out for you.
Yeah.
What are the mistakes that people make in real estate?
So I don't necessarily think that in regards to coaching, maybe I didn't understand the question. I'll answer how I understood it. So one of the mistakes coaches make, and the reason that gurus get a bad name, is their program is set up to give you a lot of information. And that's not what people need to succeed. So for example, sports, in the sports world, you have coaches. It's looked at as like a necessity. Right. You have like LeBron James, right? The basketball god right now. He probably has a dribbling coach and a fundamentals coach and a nutrition coach and a
strength coach.
He's got lots of them. Right. But each coach has a goal for LeBron James. Right. The problem with real estate coaches and gurus, they don't have a goal for their students. My goal is to help students do their first real estate wholesale deal within 6 months. That's the goal. And I know exactly what needs to be done to have that happen. So most coaches they brag about how many hours of videos they're selling you. And they brag about how much content they're giving you. I don't, right? My course is a 10-year-old can follow it, right? Yeah. And that's on purpose, guys. Like it is set up action by action, step by step. This is how much time it's going to take you. This is how much you spend. This is where you spend it. Do the action steps. The result is this. Right? Because then it's a win. And if I can say, hey, this is what I'm working towards with you, right? And this is what I need you to commit to. And if people do that and don't get the results, guess what happens? I become a bad coach. People don't want to work with me, right? But the problem is there's a lot of coaches that we're going to teach you how to know everything you need to know about real estate, but no one ever makes any money from those coaches because they feel overwhelmed. You don't need to know everything there is to know about real estate. Guess what? I don't know everything there is to know about real estate. I make millions off of it because there's always going to be some new thing, right? Some new situation on a deal. And so the thing is, my redneck uncle I love to death. He'd always say, earn and learn, young man. You got to earn and learn. Most people want to know everything before they get started. But really the trick is to have like a specific goal and have someone help you get to that specific goal. And you're going to learn a ton along the way.
Yeah. So you keep learning the whole time. Talk about your worst deal. Have you gotten into any of this and then gotten stuck in a contract or gotten?
I've had deals that I've learned a lot. Those are usually ones you don't make a lot of money. So I'll tell you one. So when I had that really awesome, successful story of buying my first duplex, right? And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I wanted to get into it. And like I said, I kept having stumbling blocks and buying more rentals. I was like, well, I could flip houses on the side to make the extra cash to pay down payments to get rentals and build my passive income. And so I didn't have the money, and I didn't know about hard money loans. I didn't really know how it worked. And I was just trying to figure it out on my own because I was an idiot. And I was like, okay, well, I need to get private money to do a flip. So then I started asking all my rich clients I was washing windows for. I pitched to like 20 people that I wanted to flip a house. Finally got someone to tell me yes. And I flipped a house, and I paid off the interest and everything, but I spent the entire month there till 2 a.m. doing swinging the hammer. I was there Christmas Eve. I was working and to try and make it happen. And I lost $5,000. It's horrible. I was like, well, I won't do that again. I hate flipping houses, right? Like, there's gotta be a better way. So thank God my first flip was not amazing.
Right.
Thank goodness I didn't get stuck in that trap, because wholesaling is way better than flipping houses.
Man, the physical labor just is frightening on that side.
Well, and like some people have, like some flippers are great and they have systems in place and they're crushing, they're fulfilled by the befores and afters, and they have a great team. And I know some awesome ones, right? And they do really, really well. You can make a ton of money, but it wasn't my happy space. It's not what I want to be in, right? Like, I don't want to deal with contractors. I want to do the marketing. I want to go meet with people and meet amazing people and do the sales and then managing. Basically, I manage a marketing and sales team now. That's what I do. And it's what I love.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So one of the last questions is, you talk about the perfect exit strategy when you find a property. What do you mean by that? Because that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask, and we really want you to kind of see what you say about that.
Yeah. So when most people are first starting, right, wholesaling is their only option. But as you have more success, you have some cash. You could keep it as a rental. And if you know what you're doing, you can negotiate with the seller to get seller finance, or you could negotiate taking over their loan subject to. You can negotiate a lease option. You can, do those different things. Also, like, for example, I have these 3 properties under contract. 2 of them are already fully remodeled. I mean, they look like they just got flipped, right? They're beautiful inside. And so if I assigned it to a flipper, I would basically just be leaving money on the table. So I might as well find someone that will give me the money to close on them and then sell them for full retail.
Right.
Basically double my profits because of the condition that they're in. And so, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, but a lot of the times too, what exit strategy you use will depend on you, the person, and your personal situation. Do you need cash now? Do you want to build net worth long-term and cash flow? Like what's your goals?
You mentioned early on that you're holding some real estate. That seems like a really balanced approach, right? You're doing your core business, but you're also finding deals that are really appealing. You probably have a plan of what kind of property you will hold on to, or you want to hold on to.
Yeah.
Is that how you look at it? As you've got some that you're holding that you are going to rent, that you are going to lease?
Yeah, I had like 9 properties last year. I sold them all. They were all in Utah. And the reason I sold them, and most people are like, that's a stupid idea. And the reason I did is because
right. Yeah.
Yeah, let me explain. When I'm finding deals that no longer make any sense whatsoever for a buy and hold investor, they're overinflated. The only way you can make money off this property is just fixing it up and listing it, right? I'm not a flipper, remember. And so if it doesn't make sense to buy new properties, even though I have the cash, the market's overinflated in that market, right? So and the other thing is, like, depending on the market you're in, you have cash flowing markets like the Midwest where you can buy a house for $100,000 and rent it for $1,200, $1,400 still in this market, right? In Utah, you buy a house for $300,000 and it rents for $1,200. Do you know what I mean? If it makes 0 sense to buy a rental, it makes 0 sense to hold a rental in that market. They say buy on the lows, sell on the highs. It's a high in that market, right? Will the market eventually come down? I don't know. Will the rents eventually catch up to the things? I don't know. But all I know is I'm not going to be picking up rentals in that market. But here in Tampa, and one of the reasons I picked Tampa is it's a potential cash flow market, right? I can find properties for $150,000 and still rent them for $1,200-$1,300. And, you know, it's a lot more safe.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you're going to make money there. You're not going to, it's not you're not in it to break even.
Yeah. I don't have to get a second job to pay the mortgage. You know, it's like, I don't want to do that.
Not interested in that. Right. All right. So you mentioned your site earlier, dfdmastery.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So people can go to the site, get all the information they need, apply for the program if they're interested. Zack, this has been fascinating. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Good luck. We'll have to talk about Brazil in just a moment, but good luck down there in Tampa.
Yeah. Hey, can we just real quick just mention where we're going to post on the YouTube content? So here it is January 19th right now. Towards the end of January, we're hoping to start uploading semi-live while I'm still down here, right? And so you can go to my YouTube channel. It's DFD Mastery. If you go to my website, there's a social media link on my website where you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else you would like to follow me. So make sure you follow me and so you're informed when those YouTube videos start dropping. Great. We look forward to seeing the side hustle that you have to have once you spend your $1,000. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Hopefully I can close a wholesale deal before I have to do that, right? Fair enough. Well, thanks for the show and good luck. Thank you. All right. And thank you for being with us here today on the program. We will see you tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern time. Until then, have a great day, work hard, and good luck.